Cormann, time for the answer has expired. Senator Sinodinos.
Thank you, Mr. President. Great to be back and good to see nothing's changed. My question is to the Minister representing the Prime Minister, Senator Cormann.
Order.
Why, Senator Cormann, is it
Order
so
on
important?
my left.
Why is it so important that the Liberal National Government maintains Australia's strong and successful border security arrangements?
Minister representing the Prime Minister, Senator Cormann.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, and I warmly welcome Senator Sinodinos back to this chamber, and I thank him for this question. And of course, before joining this chamber, in a past life, Senator Sinodinos was the Chief of Staff to one of our most distinguished and outstanding Prime Ministers in our history ever. And I would just refer you to a very important statement that he made in relation to our borders. He made this point. It's about this nation saying to the world, we are a generous, open-hearted people, taking more refugees on a per capita basis than any nation except Canada. We have a proud record of welcoming people from 140 different nations, but we will decide who comes to this country and the circumstances in which they come. And of course, when we came into government in 2013, after Labor had dismantled the successful border protection policies of the Howard government, we inherited chaos and dysfunction at our border. 50,000 illegal arrivals by boat, on 800 boats, 1,200 deaths at sea. And of course, it took our efforts to fix the absolute chaos and dysfunction that we inherited to put back a strong border protection framework. And you'd think that Labor would have learned from their mistakes. You'd think that Labor would have learned from their mistakes. But no, they are at it again. Let me say why it is important. Senator Sinodinos asked why it's important. Well, we have delivered a human dividend that is both compassionate and fair. We've stopped the deaths at sea. We've closed 19 detention centres. Remember, there were over 8,000 children in detention under the previous Labor Green government. Now there are none. All the children are off Nauru or have their bags packed for the United States. That's what strong border protection delivers. Our plan is simple. We won't change it. We won't weaken it. And of course, we know that Bill Shorten, in a desperate attempt to score some tactical political point, is prepared to compromise our national security, is prepared to compromise our border security arrangements. He should stand condemned for it. The Australian people can't trust Bill Shorten with our borders.
Order, Senator Cormann. Senator Sinodinos, a supplementary question.
Thank you, Mr. President. What is the government's
Order
position?
on my left.
What is the government's position in relation to proposals to change Australia's border protection regime?
Senator Cormann.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. The government is 100% committed to our current strong border protection policy framework, unamended. And of course, we will not be supporting any attempts to weaken our strong border protection arrangements. And I would just draw the Senate's attention to this particular reality. Mr. Shorten decided to back a watering down of our border protection arrangements, which today he had to admit and confess would have prevented us from turning away criminals from Australia, which today he had to confess through his amendments would have put the pull factor back into our border protection arrangements, which is, of course, at the heart of the product that the people smugglers sell to those poor people who take their chances across the high seas, and many of them, too many of them, at risk to their lives. So, Mr. President, again, I say it again, Bill Shorten cannot be trusted with protecting our borders. He would
Senator
make our
Cormann.
country weaker.
Senator Sinodinos, a final supplementary question.
Thank you, Mr. President. Noting the strong words of the Minister, why is the government so strongly committed to keeping Australia's borders safe and secure?
Senator Cormann.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Australia is a great migrant nation, and Australia is, as I said, we have welcomed generations and generations of migrants from all corners of the world. Indeed, we have welcomed to Australia many thousands of refugees and asylum seekers from all around the world. But we, as John Howard quite rightly pointed out, we decide who comes to this country in the circumstance in which they come. And in our system, the Australian people give expression to their wishes at an election. And it is up to the elected government of Australia to determine how our borders are managed. There should not be any suggestion whatsoever that this is a responsibility that should be contracted out. It is absolutely unbelievable to us on this side of the chamber that after Labor's disastrous track record on this, that they would go back there and try to fiddle with this when their last attempt to fiddle with this had such disastrous consequences. The Australian people will condemn them for it.